So welcome back to Ask the Boss. This is a segment that we last did in 2019. It's a segment that has been requested with a level of consistency from all our members and fans to return. So we're very proud to be in our new media studio at our new facility here in Concord with our first segment of Ask the Boss for season 2023. The reason behind this segment is really about creating transparency, clarity, and giving you, the fan and member, the opportunity to get a further insight into the workings of this great club here at the West Tigers. Every month that we do this, I'm going to be welcoming a guest, and who not better to have as our first guest than our new head coach, Mr. Tim Sheens. Morning, Tim.
Thank you, Justin. Good morning.
I suppose a good way to start is how are things going and what have you been up to the last month?
Good question. Well, we've been in the facility for about, our fifth week this week, I think. I liken it to a one-stop shop, Justin, in that everything's here for us. We don't have to move our field, walk onto the field. Prior to this, it's obviously been in a temporary, and it was, even though it was a good setup, it was nothing like the convenience that we have here. So, the players have really adapted to it well. Even though we're not officially here, they've been dropping in to do their own training. That's voluntary, and they've been very, very happy with it. So I think it's going to work very well. It's very efficient, and that's what we're going to need.
And just a quick one, you're obviously off to England tonight, and then training starts again early November. What's the plan over the next sort of 3-4 week period?
Well, we've been planning prior to this. We've been planning all our weeks, got our numbers right. Notified guys. We're waiting to find out who went to the World Cup, obviously, for dates back in and out of training, because it'll be staggered this year with some guys coming back later than others. Every club will have the same thing. But we've been working really hard with the new staff about getting ready for the start of the season. I had a meeting this morning before I'm leaving. I'm going to the World Cup. Also pick up my wife and bring her back to Australia, but we're taking advantage of the fact that I can run into a few people there that we need to talk to before we start next year.
So this obviously is also an opportunity to get to know people through this platform. And a quick one about Tim. You've been without your wife now for how long?
Since November 8th, when I got here, started work. Yeah.
So is this literally the first time that you'll be seeing her in 11 months?
Well, outside of her pestering me on WhatsApp, yes.
So how often would you speak, with all seriousness, to Lou on a day-to-day basis?
Minimum twice, and probably 2-3 hours, depending on the time of day it is. As I'm going to bed, she's up, and vice versa. So, it's been... actually, it's worked out reasonably well in that regard, but obviously we want to hear. So I'm looking forward to bringing her back.
And we're also welcoming Lou back into the club. She last worked here with you back 10 years ago. So Lou will be joining us in a football operations capacity too, which is great to have her back as well. So Tim, how this platform works, Ask the Boss, if we have members given the opportunity to send in questions, they've then been compiled and given to us. So I'll just go through and ask a few of those questions to you and myself. The first one we have is from Fiona Alander, who's been a 3-year member, and you've already stolen the limelight because that was a question to me. What has been the impact of the Centre of Excellence on the team and the organisation so far? I was going to answer it, but you pretty much did that in your first opening comments, so thanks for that.
Also, mate, the situation with the general staff, everybody under the same roof has been amazing. I think even in the other facility we were split up and so on. I think just it's brought everybody a lot closer, even in the short period we've been together.
And I think it's really important to also, for everyone who hasn't been here or understand the setup here, this is a part of the redevelopment of Concord Oval. It's first and foremost, it's been designed and funded by state government, council, and also federal government, with the purpose of this being a really community facility. There's 10,000 square metres of community facility just adjacent to our left that will be set up for the purpose of activating through indoor basketball courts, netball courts, a creche, gyms and the likes. And then we're blessed in this new facility to be sharing it, albeit we're in an exclusive area, but sharing it with West Harbour, which is obviously a really important component to this program as well. So moving on to question 2, this is from David from Concord, who's also a 4-year member. A really important question. What will be the specific roles for Benji Marshall, Robbie Farah and Dave Furner for next season?
Well, I'll include myself there. I'll be doing offence. I'll be in charge of the whole offensive patterns and so on. David Furner will be doing defence. Again, the same. He will control the whole defensive system. Robbie and Benji's role, Robbie will specialise in the working with the middles. That's the hookers and the front row, etc. In offence and defence, he'll be practically running a lot of the drills for us when as David and I design. And Benji will be doing the edges. That's specific to their skill sets. But the 4 of us will work closely together on basically every aspect of the game.
I think it's important at this point to acknowledge too that as we talk about obviously a real reset for this organisation and this club right now, we've spoken about over the last sort of 8 to 10 weeks at different events, different meetings and the likes, that no one in this organisation from the board all the way down accepts that finishing 16th is acceptable. We all acknowledge that. We take full ownership and responsibility for that. But this is a real opportunity to reset for the club. We've taken some significant strides over the last 10 weeks with some of the decisions we've made, and we just mentioned that we've got basically a new head coach, 3 new assistant coaches. You spoke a little bit about the high performance team. We're welcoming back Peter Musa and a whole host of different people into the high performance team this year, and also some medical teams. So there's been significant changes off the field, and we'll also talk about some significant changes that we've made on the field. And also add to that is obviously the ability to use, that you spoke about before, to not be disrupted as we have been, albeit not an excuse, but nevertheless a reason, with what we've been doing in our temporary facility, now moving into this facility, which is a one-stop shop. We don't have to go off-site for pool recovery. We don't have to go off-site for massage, for wrestle, and we don't have to walk to a field. We can just walk out the door, which is really important.
Exactly. Our gym is so big, we can work the whole program in the one session, which is very rare in any facility, I would think. So it does cut down our time mucking around, moving from this place to the next, and it should, all being well, speed up everything we do and improve everything we do.
A good question to follow on from Angela from Castle Hill, who's a 1-year member. So thanks, Angela, for your support. What will we see if we do see a new or different style of play under the new coaching? Keep in mind that this is also aired to a lot of people, and in a competitive environment, we can be transparent to a point.
I was just going to say, Angela, just I'm going to have to be a little bit general, but I can tell you now, it will be completely different to what we've been playing. So my attitude or my philosophy as a coach is to attack. I'll leave the defence to Dave Furner, but we'll be out there to score points.
Thank you. Paul from Carlingford, 6-year member. Thank you, Paul. How do we compare with other clubs in terms of salary cap and our current spend on players? And is our 30-man squad finalised for next season? I can categorically say that not only from a salary cap perspective, which is obviously based around the players' wages, that we spend, as every other club does, the full component of cap every year. But most importantly, there's a soft cap component, which is outside of player payment. 3-4 years ago, we would spend about 60% of that. We now spend 100% of that, which is just a credit to everyone involved in regards to the financial position of the club and the ability we've had over the last sort of 3 to 4 years to pour money into resources. And we're here for one reason only, which is to win NRL and NRLW premierships, and to have the ability to pour financial resources and personnel into those areas is really important for a club like us. In regards to our 30-man squad, we're currently at 29, correct?
That's right.
So we've got 1 player left, and we're diligently working through recruitment. Just in regards to recruitment, it happens daily. every
Yes.
minute. I sit 2 doors down from where Tim is, and there's conversations happening all the time. So there is structure and governance behind us, which happens on a weekly basis, but there's not a single minute of the day that goes by without us considering what's next to bolster the already current squad and talented squad at that.
Yeah, well, from the point of view of what you're saying there, Justin, was from the time I was here in 12 to now, the difference is chalk and cheese as far as resources for the football. Um, I've been astounded in the 12 months, nearly 12 months I've been back, as to how much that has happened, to the point where we can even, play at grounds for home ground advantage rather than for financial gain. So all of those things go well for the club.
Yeah, and I know we speak about it all the time, and I know I've said it publicly, and I know you have, Tim, that having resources and having a new facility doesn't guarantee wins by any means. It's the people, it's the standards, it's the values that we all adhere to and enforce, and we're constantly reviewing what those standards and values are and
Yeah.
how we behave internally. And I know Tim's a big proponent of that, and certainly even last year, to the extent, I don't know if you want to tell this story or not, but around the locker room and keeping it tidy. I just think little things like
Yeah.
that actually drive success.
Yeah. Well, you know, being tidy, looking after the place is important, whether it be a temporary building, which I think we were a bit sloppy at, to a brand new building where we want to be, start from fresh. But I'm right on those sorts of things. But I think those little things are discipline overall on and off the field is important. And I think we need to improve in that area. And that'll be another area I'll be pushing hard.
Okay, so next question, and again, back to the coaching staff. Peter, who's had a tenure for over 8 years as a member, so thank you, Peter. The last few coaches have said have all had a long-term plan, 3 years to grow as a team. Why will this time be any different, Tim?
Good question. Yeah, 3 years. The classic is a 5-year plan, Peter, but we'll go for three. Three because our 17-year-olds who won the comp this year, undefeated, will be 20. Our 19-year-olds will be 22. And our 21-year-olds will be 24. Now, that's obvious, but at the end of the day, that's where our strength is. Our strength is in our next group of kids coming through. We'll be very young this year. In fact, I think our average age will be close to 22. That can be a problem, but it's also a bonus. Penrith are a good example of that. So I think, 3 years, as Jack Gibson used to say, first year, assess it. Second year, do something about it. Third year, get some results. And so that's, I think, a coach's role, and that'll be the way I adopt it.
Thanks, Tim. Just quickly, you mentioned Penrith there. Quick summation of the grand final.
Go Penrith. I was quite happy about that. I had Parramatta only because it's a local derby. When I played for Penrith for 13 years, it was always the local derby and never changed. South, you can go South Roosters, for instance, and so on. It's just one of those things. So I have to say I had my money on Penrith.
Baz, who's been a member for 1 year, so thank you, Baz. I'm a passionate supporter that has just about given up on the joint venture and about to walk away. When are we going to get our house in order to become a real viable club that is respected both on and off the field? Baz, thanks for that question. Just in regards, we've covered a bit of that already in regards to financially, we're probably the strongest we've been. I know in probably since you've been back,
Yeah.
or since you had left, sorry. We're in a fantastic facility here in Concord. We're working really hard still to create academies both at Leichhardt and also Campbelltown. There's more resources that we pour into football, as we spoke about, than ever before, and the responsibility of the executive and the board is to make sure we allocate the right amount of resources into those departments to give everyone best opportunity to be successful. Tim, you spoke about pathways and how much money we've spent in pathways and the success that that's starting to showcase through our 17s, 19s, 21s. We've also been lucky enough and fortunate enough through a lot of hard work and a decision that was strategically made 4 years ago or 5 years ago in regards to the women's program to invest a lot of money into the women's program, and obviously having the ultimate success with the Harvey Norman last year, moving now into an NRL license and that program. So certainly I think we're in a position where we are certainly a viable club. We wouldn't be too much different in regards to our spend than the bigger spending clubs. We're certainly in what I would classify as a world-class facility. We've got a geographical area which is enormous and is opportunistic as long as we can resource it. We've had, I think, 1,600 kids, Tim, that have registered for our programs at the junior level, which is the highest that we've had ever. So everything is heading in the right direction. Now, in saying that, we also understand that there's a hell of a lot of work that still needs to be done. But I'd rather be in this position where we've got some real sustainable opportunity to grow and create some success than be in this position without all of those resources and financial capability and juniors coming through.
I might just add to that, Baz. Don't go leaving us now, mate. We've got the plan in place. The junior system, the pathway system was. I came over on that basis actually. Justin and Lee spoke to me about our pathways, and I'm passionate about that. Anyone who knows me knows that I'll give younger guys a run and push them through. And we've got Benji and Robbie here, who I raised basically from 18-year-olds to 28-year-olds. Think the same as I do. Dave Furness worked with me for years and does the same. So, we've got everybody pushing in the right direction, mate. So just hang in there because, you'll see the results start. I'm not saying we're 3 years away, by the way, with a program that before you're going to see results. Those results will happen as we go. You'll see an improvement, a steady improvement all the way through.
Susan from Liverpool, who's been a 5-year member, what is the long-term plan for where we play our games, and what is the impact of next year's FIFA Women's World Cup? Great question, Susan. We resolved at board level 3 or 4 months ago now to revert back to our spiritual homes, which is obviously Leichhardt and Campbelltown. That was a decision that really coincided also with the appointment of Tim, Benji and Robbie at the time around really how to get back to the identity that was synonymous with West Tigers back through that successful period of 2004-5 into 11 and 12. So Tim spoke before about the importance of having a home ground. We made some decisions financially as a club 10 years ago to shore up the finances of the club to go to ANZ, which has been a decision that we've worked with really well over the last 10 years. But the reality is to have 2 home grounds, pay respect to our homage and get back to that. We're working with both councils at the moment. Unfortunately for 2023 season, the 2023 season is being interrupted by the FIFA World Cup. What does that mean? That means that for a period of about 12 weeks, I think from memory, that the Campbelltown, Leichhardt, and a host of other facilities are potentially interrupted as a consequence of those obligations that have been made. So we're working through what we do with that. We've got obviously still contracted up at Magic Round in Queensland, which has been quite successful for us on the field. We love going to Tamworth and relish the opportunity to take this great game out to regional areas, and Tamworth has been a great partner of us for nearly 5 years. Obviously still working with Leichhardt and Campbelltown around where the calendar will allow us to. We'll probably revert back to working, we have reverted back to working also with CommBank for another 3 games, and then we're working diligently and we'll have some exciting news about where we play our 12th game in the coming days, if not week. But certainly the idea, and supported all the way through the club, is to go back to our 2 local grounds. And we're working with council to make that a reality for 2024 and beyond.
Yeah, I think I'm looking forward to that because getting back to those 2 home grounds is very, very important, I think, for the club and for the players. That consistency and the home ground advantage that comes from that is brilliant.
And we will be also pushing and working with council and government, obviously, to secure funding for both those stadiums, because we wholeheartedly believe that both are set up for the community in our geographical regions, and certainly if they're not fit for purpose for us to use and for the community, I think that would be disastrous for not only rugby league, but for all sports associated with the rectangle game in those regions. We'll go to Christina, who's been a 3-year member. So thank you, Christina. Newcastle Knights do free shuttle buses to their home games from 5 separate directions for their fans. Is this something that we would look at doing? It's a great question. We have considered it a few times before. Obviously, through the last 2 years of interruption with COVID, we didn't pursue it. We're actually working with a group of about 10 to 12 members that come in on a monthly basis. And certainly, as a part of that forum, because we certainly don't believe that we know everything that's going on, and hearing it from those members about their recommendations, how we can engage better on game day, how we can engage our fans and members better. That'll be something that will be raised with them, and we look forward to an outcome that suits everyone that wants to come to our games. And the more opportunities we can have to get people to fill our stadiums, obviously, the better it is for the playing group, and it certainly will give best opportunity for that to happen. Craig, second-year member, so thank you, Craig. We hear a lot about the club investing in pathways. Another question for you, Tim. How long do you think before we see some of these juniors rise to the NRL level?
Well, over that 3-year period I've discussed, Justin, 17 going 18, some of them, some were 16 going 17, but at the end of the day, that group, you can see, well, we've signed so many of them, we can see some champion young kids coming through. Good players. If you're old enough, you're good enough, as they say. I mean, I was talking to young Papali'i the other day. He was telling me he was 18 when he first played first grade. So it's not that far away. It's closer than a lot of people think. Obviously, depending on the position and the physique of the child, the kid, sorry, and his maturity and so on determines that. But often 18, 19. So you can see in the next 12, 18 months that we're going to see some results coming through with a whole heap of those kids.
Thanks, Tim. We also just had a question come through while we're talking about, obviously, Isaiah. One of our other big recruits is obviously Api Coruscant, about comments made yesterday, but just for everyone's benefit, that both Tim and I have addressed that. We had a private conversation both with Api and also the manager. So no need to worry about that, and doesn't need to be spoken about again.
Then I won't say anything.
Um,
Other than that, he was very contrite. It was, I think, just a joke that went wrong for him. But if there's anyone committed to us, it's Api Coruscant, I can tell you.
We haven't spoken about the roster. We spoke about the fact that there is 29. There are significant changes from, if you look at the 2022 top 30 at the start of the year versus the 2023 top 30. We speak a lot about the fact that, we've made adjustments or changes to head coach, assistant coaches, high performance team, new facility, physios and the likes. And I would like to just say quickly that everyone who has worked here, we do thank them for their contribution. It's never an easy thing for clubs to do, but we've made it in the best interest of the club. But going back to the roster, I think there's 7 or 8 different changes at this stage to the roster. That's significant in anyone's mind. And keep in mind, I'm including in that people like Naden and a few others that came halfway through the year.
Yeah, it certainly is. Particularly a number of them are in what you would think the top 17 rather than the top 30. So that's going to have a big impact on what we're doing. Last year, or this year just gone, I think we had more people in suits on game day, suits meaning they were injured, than we did have on the field at times. So particularly our senior guys, we didn't get much credit for that. We had everyone, it's injury, it's no excuse, but it's maybe not an excuse, but there are plenty of reasons. If you haven't got your best people, ask Melbourne and ask Roosters, who whinged about their situation at the end of the year. But touch wood, at this stage, we look like having everybody, Bloor and Talau and these sorts of guys who missed the season available from day one. So I'll be working hard not to injure them during pre-season but yet get them fit. So looking forward to a lot more experience experienced players and a stronger team, particularly in the forwards.
We also speak, these are off record, not off record, off the sheet. These aren't questions coming, these are more just discussion points
Yeah.
now. We've had some great young talent re-sign with us lately in regards to Sean Bloor, obviously.
Yes.
AJ, Stafford has also re-signed. I think Stefano last year
Yes.
inked a long-term deal with the club.
Well, Stefano, on a quick note, while you've mentioned him, he was selected in an extended Tongan squad. He told them no, he wouldn't go. He wanted to prepare for us, so that was a very, very good sign, I think. And
I think Alex Twal the same.
And Twali the same. That's right.
So I think one of the things that I hear a lot about in regards to, and because this is such a enormous brand and popular club with the media, is that people don't often want to be here. And you've been here now for 12 months, and you've obviously come back for a reason that attracted you to the club. And I sit there and sort of sometimes get frustrated with the notion that exists out there, and this is a great forum for that purpose, that to sit there and say, like, people like Isaiah and Appy and those new guys that have come into the squad, NATO last year, and then you're looking at people like Stefano, Twali only 2 years ago re-signing for a long period, Joffa just re-signing for another 3 years, our recent Kelly Barnes winner, and then Stafford and AJ all re-signing. There must be something brewing here that they're seeing as players that they want to be a part of.
I like to think so, Justin. I mean, it's not just about money, because in some cases those guys could have got a little more money. So it's about there's a bond here, and there's certainly, sometimes when you're struggling and everything, you pull together even closer. We've had a couple of terrible losses. The boys have held together. They're keen to get rid of that, to get back to training. A lot of the guys have started straight away. They virtually didn't stop. So, we've got a good attitude, and driven by some fresh faces in the coaching staff. Obviously, I'm very happy with the way Benji and Robbie, Dave Ferner are operating. Although Benji's running around in circles out there at touch for against them, so I don't know whether or not we'll give him another start too. But no, in saying that, look, I think that they see there's an opportunity here. They see that this club can improve, and that they will improve, even from the injuries alone, mate. So, and I haven't had too many, if any, agents or players say not interested in West Tigers. People might think that's the case, but you'd be surprised how many people ring me or ring Warren, our recruitment officer, daily to get a run for their players. So I don't think we're going to have too many trouble in the recruitment area at all.
Well, thank you, Tim, for coming in. I know that you've actually come in specially for this, given that you're flying out, no doubt, first class to the UK tonight. So thank you very much. To all those fans and members that have requested this over the last 2 or 3 years, thank you. For all the fans and members that continue to support this great club. As Tim said, sometimes with adversity, strength of character is truly defined, and I can't comment or speak highly enough of everyone involved with this club that the bond here at this moment is the strongest I've seen it. So we look forward to the next time we come together. Let me remind you all that membership does go on sale on the 20th of October. So please jump in and support, because without your support, we don't exist in the format we do today. So once again, thank you all, and I look forward to seeing you in a month's time.